because I think it can't be framed. This conversation about Christian nationalism has been framed, even in the media, for just until very recently, I think, as sort of anti-Christian. So we can't criticize that because that would be criticizing a faith. Or it can be claimed as sort of anti-Republican, right? People are against this because politically they don't agree with the Republican Party. But I think what we're talking about is a movement that has co-opted religion to pursue power for a very narrow group in a way that really hurts most of us. So let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, maybe we should start with democracy, right? How is this movement undermining democracy?
Well, the movement is doing what authoritarian and religious nationalist movements tend to do, which is target electoral systems, target the courts, target the press, seek to undermine a lot of individual rights, the right to free speech, the right to a real education. They seek to turn education into kind of propaganda exercise. They undermine the rights of women and sexual minorities. And they target out groups as internal enemies to scapegoat for all of their problems. And we're seeing that, I often think of these, I think we still see a lot of people framing this as about the culture wars. And that's a mistake, because when you hear the leaders of the movement talk to the rank and file, it's, abortion, defending the family, and, oh, look at these, this terrible thing that happened, at this sports team over here, like this one sports team, whatever. But I think of these as like the shining baubles. These are not our country is facing some real challenges. The movement is driving support for politicians whose economic policies are intensifying that inequality and making it so much harder for so many American families to succeed. So when they call themselves a pro-family movement, I just sometimes scratch my head.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm part of a movement called the Poor People's Campaign. And a few years ago, we did a study of the United States to simply see how many counties there were in the country where a person working full-time at the minimum wage could afford to rent an apartment. And the answer was none. There's not a single county in the country where you can work full-time at minimum wage and afford to rent just a basic apartment. And that's one way that the sort of income inequality piece of this is just made real. But that has happened, that stagnation of wages has happened. That's the cost of healthcare, the cost of education, the cost of transportation. All of these things have increased dramatically. And if you look at a map of the places where that inequality and the people suffering from that inequality is the worst, and you overlay that map with the places where Christian nationalism has had the most effect, there's almost a perfect overlay, right? So the very politicians who've used this to get elected have pushed policies that have harmed their constituents. And it seems to me this matters a lot to churches, because churches in these communities are often doing the direct service that puts them in direct contact with people who are homeless, people who are in need of food, people who come to the church for basic assistance. Seems like there's a connection there that we need to make.
There's a huge connection. The movement gets huge amounts of money from a subsection of America's sort of hyper-wealthy folks. A lot of people with a lot of money disagree with this agenda, but there is a group that is pushing this agenda. They want low taxes or no taxes for the rich, and they want minimal regulation of business and minimal regulation of the environment, minimal rights for the workforce. And if you look at some of the sort of very political preachers, they've constructed theologies that justify this. But how do you get people to vote for those things? You're not going to get them to vote for these economic policies on their own. You have to distract them with these culture war issues. So they pour a lot of money into these kinds of messaging programs that reach the rank and file and get them to vote on those issues.
Yeah.